I can't find the fade out button. I can never find the fade out button. And I'm fading out the wrong backing track as we speak. Let's just do that one, folks. How you doing? Nick Jennison, it's the Monday Guitar Show. We're here doing the thing we do on Mondays, which is hang out and chat about the guitar. I'm holding a very special instrument today that I'm going to talk to you guys about in just a little bit. But as you can see, we are down in Lick Library headquarters filming some new content for you guys. As always, we're adding new lessons to the website, new lessons to the membership, new lessons to the store all of the time. Filming some new stuff here that I can't tell you about just yet, but it is coming. But welcome on board. If you're new here, let me tell you a bit about what's going on. We do this every Monday. We do a live stream on the Lick Library and Guitar Interactive YouTube channels where you are watching us right now, I assume, unless you're watching us somewhere else. Maybe it's on the Facebook page, who knows? But our objective in these streams is to make you, dear viewer, a slightly better guitar player when you leave us than you were when you arrived. And today, we're continuing a discussion that we've been having for the last few weeks at least, on the subject of harmonic minor. Now, this is an extension of the stream that we did on diminished arpeggios, which was super popular. You guys seem to really enjoy that, but we've had some questions about the broader application of diminished arpeggios, which has led us to this thought on harmonic minor as a subject for a stream all on its lonesome. Now, we're going to get right into the weeds with this today. We're going to go all the way down to the bare bones, the basics of what it is to play harmonic minor, when you should play it, and how you should play it. But we're also going to get into some more advanced applications. So if you're a guitar player who already kind of knows the harmonic minor scale, fear not. We've got some good stuff for you. But if you're also sat there going, I don't know what this means, harmonic what now? Is it the same as harmonics? Don't worry, we got some stuff for you too. Now, we're going to check in the comment section in a second, but before we do, I want to know from you guys, as we've discussed in the last couple of weeks, let us know in the comments, what guitar are you playing today, right? Do you have a guitar with you? If you haven't got a guitar, go get a guitar, because these streams are always better with a guitar in hand, right? Otherwise, well, imagine if I didn't have my guitar in hand. That would be an unusual experience. But I'm holding a very special guitar. This is a 2004 Les Paul that belonged to the late, great Michael Caswell, which I'm honored to be sat playing today. We've added this to the Lick Library studio arsenal, and as a long-time fan of Lick Library, of Guitar Interactive, and of Michael's, it's a privilege to be sat on his chair playing his guitar for you guys today. So, man, yeah, over the moon with this, and it's an absolute peach. Billy Gibbons said so as well, apparently. A little bird tells me. So, apparently Billy knows a good Les Paul. Michael knew a good Les Paul too, because this is an absolute sweetie. And you guys know I'm not normally a Les Paul guy, but I'm having a lot of fun with it today. But I want to know what guitar you're playing. Let us know in the comments. Speaking of comments, we are going to say some hellos. First person through the door is our friend Marcin, as per, with a hello, guys. Marcin, it's great to see you. Says it's going to be a fun lesson. I can tell you that. I can tell you that too. I think we're going to have some fun today. PJ is here. PJ has taken 2 months away from the guitar. And whilst this last week has been a challenge, I actually think, or know, his picking has improved. Now, this is interesting. Sometimes you can come back from a short layoff, and you come back, and by short, I mean like less than a month, and you can come back better than you started. It's a funny old situation. I don't really know how this works. I think it's something to do with I guess kind of neural repriming, maybe. I don't even know that's the term. It's something like that, but it's basically this thing that we talk about in practice all the time, where we talk about the idea of giving yourself opportunities to relearn the process of playing the guitar. And sometimes a rest can do that for you. It says, apart from these wonderful Mondays put on by Nick, that's very kind of you, because I could only be gentle and light with my approach. Man, you know, sometimes, I mean, injuries suck, and having to take time away from the guitar sucks for reasons that aren't in your control. We all come against we all come against these every once in a while. It's never fun, but I'm really glad that you could join us, and I'm happy that you're back playing again. Response Audio is here. Great to see you. What else do we have? Larry Warren is in the house. Who else do we have? Very quickly. Foghorn is here. Helmut Strap is here. Watching a lesson with, or has been watching an interview with Zal Clementson from the sensational Alex Harvey band. Very underrated guitar player. I happen to know that Zal Clementson is one of Guthrie Govan's favourite guitar players. Speaking of folks who this chair belongs to. It never ceases to amaze me. The gravity of sitting here never It never escapes me. Anyway, we'll say some more hellos. Kate Strange is here. Great to see you. Great to see you. Franz is here. Kim is here and also here. Everyone say hi, Kim. I'm pointing at him, waving at him right now. Crank and Tom is in the house, tuning in from behind his Mexican Strat. Very nice. Good choice. Marcin is playing his PRS CE24. It's the only guitar in standard tuning. What tunings are you playing in? I want to know what crazy tunings you've got your other instruments in. Our friend Catmandu1962 is here. He's got 1999 Ibanez S470. That's a nice guitar. I remember those guitars. They were a lot of fun. They're really, really thin ones from what I remember. Yeah, really, really cool. I love those guitars. There was a brown one that I always wanted. It was kind of a violin brown. Really, really attractive. Sacred Godslayer is here. Steve Ford is here. Caffeine Thug is tuning in. Great to see you. Steve Louth is tuning in. I butcher everybody's names. I apologize, Steve. Block 18 is here. Trolls Jen, whose name I'm also butchering, is here. Who else do we have? Let's see. Mal Riley is in the house. Martin says, cool act. Say thanks, man. Jake Carr is in the house. Who else? We've got some comments in the jam. Thanks, man. I'm having a lot of fun with this. Who else do we have? Honorius says, hi, Dr. Nick. Simpsons reference. I like it. Mal Riley, we've already said hello to. Great to see you. We've got some comments on the Les Paul. Pick up the Strat for the Harmonic Minor licks. I mean, I could play the Malmsteen Strat, which is sat here, and I might do later, but we'll see. But I'm really enjoying this one. You guys know the story about it now. PJ's playing his PRS Piezo. Thomas Ross is playing a PRS SE Paul's guitar. Great choice. One of my students has got one of those. It is killer. Who else do we have? Steve Luth is playing an Aria acoustic. Nice choice. We've got a lot of love for Michael Caswell, who this guitar belonged to, understandably so. What a guy, man. And again, a privilege to be sat in his chair playing his guitar. Gonna quickly gloss over a few comments. We've got loads of them. I want to get into the thing. Fortress of Shred says, I need to learn this. Thank you so much. I'm glad you could come back and join us. My friend Rob's tuning in from somewhere around the corner. Rob, it's great to see you. And I think if there's anyone I've missed, I apologize, right? I apologize if I missed you. We'll say some hellos as we go further in, but there's loads of folks in tonight, and I'm happy about it, and I want to get into the lesson. So, let's get stuck in. We're going to begin with a discussion of harmonic minor, what it is, when you should use it. And we're going to start with a discussion of chords, which sounds like a strange thing to begin with. So bear with me on this, right? Bear with me on this. I'm going to play you two chords, and I'm going to play you an A minor chord, and I'm going to play you an E chord. And these are the important steps for recognizing harmonic minor and when you should play it. We'll discuss the scale in a moment, right? But here is my A minor chord. Notice the notes that are in my A minor chord. I have an A, an E, another A, a C, and an E. I want you to pay attention to the note that is on the G string. If I turn this into an A minor 7, by revealing the G string, we have a G. This is a note we describe as the flat 7 of A. So in A minor, if we include a G note, we include the flat 7. Now, the next chord I'm going to play you is E, which sounds like this. Now, this chord contains one very important note, which is this G sharp note, which is at the core of not just where we play the harmonic minor, but understanding its role in most of music, let's say Western music for sure. The kind of music we're likely to play on one of these guitars. So the E in this instance is E, B, E, and G sharp. You'll notice that this is not the same as the G that we had in our previous example. Now this is what we would call the raised or major 7th. Now because we're not playing a major scale, we call it the raised 7th. So we have A minor, and on this E, there we have this raised 7th. And this combination of a minor chord and then a major chord on chord 5, or a dominant chord, but mainly a major chord on chord 5, including this raised 7th, is at the essence of harmonic minor. This is the sound of harmonic minor. If you ever played House of the Rising Sun, for example, where you play, and then we play this sound, that is the sound of harmonic minor. And that is something that's crucial to understand before we go any further with what we're doing here. Now, we don't need to know too much about the actual theory behind this just yet. We're going to get into that, but that is the place that harmonic minor is so often found, especially if you're playing it in the context of music that maybe isn't harmonic minor in its entirety, which is normally kind of in guitar circles, maybe neoclassical stuff. We'll get into that. Now, let's talk about what harmonic minor is. So we're going to play in the key of A for this, for our example, but we'll also move it to other keys as well. Our friend PJ in with 5-7, good man, right? This is Nashville numbering that says when we get to chord 5, we turn it into a dominant chord. Now this is so common, right? So common. We'll get into some application in a moment, but first, a word on how we play this, right? Let's begin with the A minor pentatonic scale, just so we don't leave anybody behind. A minor pentatonic, hopefully we all know this, right? We're going to begin with this A note here. That's our root note, mirrored down here on the low E string. What we have is we have pinky finger, pinky index, ring finger index, ring finger index, ring finger index, pinky finger index. These notes are flat third, root, flat 7, 5th, 4th, flat third, and then it repeats. Root, flat 7, 5th, 4th, flat third, root. Let's quickly turn this into a natural minor scale. The natural minor scale you might know as the Aeolian mode. If you've done mastering modes, you'll know this and how you convert your minor pentatonic into this scale, but we'll go over it together very quickly, starting in the bottom. We have root, we include this note here, which is a second, flat third. So it's fingers 1, 3, 4, frets 5, 7, 8. We mirror those on the next string. Root, second, flat third, 4th, 5th, flat 6. To turn it into a natural minor scale, we play flat 7 and then root. This is 1 octave of our natural minor scale. The only difference between natural minor and harmonic minor, I draw your attention back to this chord down here, is what goes on the 7th. The rest of it stays the same. We take the flat 7, we move it up to a raised 7. In this case, fret 6. We get root, second, flat third, 4th, 5th, flat 6, raised 7th. It gives us this big, meaty interval. Which we would call an augmented second interval. It's not a minor third. It's the same as a minor third in terms of distance, but we'd call it an augmented second. And don't worry about that. That is trivia for you music theory nerds out there. But that's what we've got. We have root, second, flat third, 4th, 5th, flat 6, raised 7th. Here is a little cheat for you. We're going to target this note when it's time to change. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play over my A. I can play a minor pentatonic. I can play natural minor. But as soon as I go to my E, I'm going to include this note. Hear how that note is mirrored in this chord. Now, me playing this note will evoke the sound of this chord in your head. So I'll play here. Notice your brain immediately went to this. We heard it even though it wasn't there. So what I'm going to do for you guys is I'm going to accompany and I'm going to ask you to play. I'm going to play just A minor and just E, and I'll tell you when to change. Play the natural minor or the minor pentatonic, whichever you prefer, over the A minor, and when we get to this E, go straight to this note, which is the raised 7th. Don't be afraid to jump there. It's fine if you're here. It works. It works just fine. Don't worry too much about it. That's what we want to do. And I'm going to play you one slow bar of each. Let's start with A minor. Ready? Here we go. A minor. I'll play 2 bars. Ready? and change. Did you catch that little change to the raised 7? We're going back to A minor. Ready? And change. Back to A minor. We'll go one more time. Get ready and change. We should be hanging on this note. Now, this is something that you can do when you encounter this chord and this sound in your playing. But we can take this further. We can learn the remainder of the scale shape. I'm going to show you a few other places we can play it, but other spots that we can play it in our pentatonic shape, just so we've got somewhere to go right now. If we go back to this little scale shape we have here, this was natural minor, this is harmonic minor. If we were to play this, there's a minor pentatonic. If we plug in the second here, the flat 6 here, there's a flat 7, and the second here, we get this, 4, 5, 7, 5, 6, 8, 5, 7, 8. That's natural minor. Let's identify the flat 7, which is here, and we'll raise it. So we get this, 2, that's our second, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, raised 7th. Now, if that stretch is a bit exotic for you, you can substitute this note for the 4th fret on the high E string. Now let me show you the difference. The way I'll get this is with the drone string, and this is the way that you can practice it, right? If I play my A, I can play this. And time to change. Now that, in essence, is how harmonic minor is used in so much of modern music. It's not even funny. It's not a scale that we play all of the time. It's a scale that we delve into when we come up against that chord, this 5 dominant chord. Now the way we might find this, an easy way to find it, is if you find the root note of whatever you're playing, and you find a power chord. Let's say you're playing a D, for example. Well, let's do B. Why not? Let's do B. So we're playing B here, right? There's my B note. If I play a power chords are root and 5. 1, 5, right? Root 5. This 5 note, the other note in my power chord, that's where the 5 dominant chord, or the 5 major chord, is going to occur. If we're in B, the power chord of B tells me that the 5 is F sharp. So when I get to F sharp chords, it's going to be dominant. Good example of this is Hotel California, where the chord progression starts with B minor. And the second chord, I need a capo for this, me and James were just talking about this earlier on. The second chord, F sharp, dominant 7. Hotel California is harmonic minor on the second chord. But as soon as we go to the chord that follows it, which is A, we are no longer in harmonic minor. The whole thing is not harmonic minor, it's just harmonic minor when we're on this chord. And this is true in so many chord progressions, including the one that I was playing in the intro, which we're gonna play now. Now I'm gonna show you where this lives, right? Where this lives. So, very quickly, very quickly. Okay, I'm going to go back to some big distortion, because why not? The distortion is fun. Let me throw on, what amps should we have? I think we'll have the AFD. We've got all the amps behind us. We've got the big amps, they're lovely. We've got the AFD, I'll just give you a quick tour, by the way, in case you're wondering, because we've not played these in a while. This is the PRS DGT. Very pretty. This is the YJM. with the internal boost switched off because we want it to work like a super lead. This is the AFD. And this is Michael's 5150. So it's Michael's guitar, Michael's amp, Michael's chair. Rocktastic, which we'll play in a second. But I'm really enjoying the AFD right now, so we're going to stick with that. Now, here is our backing track. The backing track in question features all of these chords that I was talking about. It's in B, we have B minor, we have a G, and an E minor, no F sharps yet, an A, then we go back to a B. Minor, and then this all-important F sharp 5 dominant. That is where I'm going to deploy my harmonic minor. You'll notice we're not playing it all the way through. I'm just playing it over that crucial chord. Pay attention for this because you'll see where I'm going to throw this in. I will stick with this box position for as long as I can. My target note for the harmonic minor will be this. Or it could be here. I've got one here. I've got one here, but you can immediately hear that sound. Immediately. So, let's start with natural minor. All minor pentatonic. Here it comes. And I'm back out. I'll do it again one more time. Here it comes. And we go full Malmsteen from there. So you get the gist with this. Most of the time that you're going to be playing harmonic minor, you're not just going to be wailing up and down the harmonic minor scale. It's not going to be the full Malmsteen all of the time. Occasionally it will be, and we'll get to that. But for the majority of the time when we're playing this, it's going to be when we're playing minor chord progressions and we find this ever so common, ever so common, it's been a long day, ever so common 5 dominant chord. Other examples of this, other places where you find this, right? The solo from Sweet Child of Mine, not the bit that goes, sorry, I should play on this tone. Not that part, but the bit that's, where's it? That one. I want to highlight this note for you. Bearing in mind this solo is in E, right? Watch what happens in this solo. What is that? That is a Ray 7. What chord do you think happens under that note? Let's have a guess, right? Let's figure it out. What have we got? E. Oh, well, would you look at that? It's the 5 dominant chord. As soon as we go to this chord, Let's see if I can do a Stanley Jordan arrangement of this. And as soon as we go to the A, we're back out into normal pentatonic minor, natural minor, etc., etc. It's just so common. This occurs all over the place. Now, the reason it's a B chord, not an F sharp chord, is because this is in the key of E, and this happens on the 5 chord of whatever progression we happen to be playing in. Let me show you another application for this. Now, this is another fun thing we can do. Now, we could just play the full Malmsteen, right? And we could just throw on some harmonic minor, a harmonic minor backing track, and shred over the top of that, and we've got those, and they're fun. But that's not how the majority of you guys are going to use this, right? It's not the majority of how the majority of you guys are going to use this. But I'm going to show you another little interesting tidbit with this. Now, you can use this where you can throw a harmonic minor scale in very briefly where there isn't one of these chords to imply a movement, to imply that chord where you would expect to hear it. Now, the times to use this are in the same places that a drummer might use a drum fill. You wouldn't just drop it in at the start of your solo. You wouldn't drop it in somewhere randomly in the middle. You do it at the end of a little section. So let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to drop in a harmonic minor. In this case, I'm going back to B. I'm going back to the same backing track, key of B minor. I'll drop in B harmonic minor where the chord is not, and you'll hear what I'm talking about. Watch this. So when it's time to come back round to the B, I'll throw in a harmonic minor. Did you catch it? Now, even though the chord is not playing this F sharp dominant, in this case, this 5 dominant chord, by me dropping my harmonic minor in there like a drum fill, what it does is it takes the listener's ear to imagining that chord was there. And this is a little like all the stuff we've talked about in previous lessons where we talked about implying chords in your solo that aren't necessarily in the progression. It's all about where you put them. And we would traditionally put this chord, this 5 dominant chord, in a place where it's about to turn around into a new section. It might usually resolves to the 1 chord, but not always. But it's usually somewhere at the end of a section. It creates movement. It creates a sense of propulsion in the song. So we normally put it somewhere where it's about to resolve to somewhere else. And you can throw this in at your leisure, right? Which is quite good fun. Now, there are some other things we can do to imply harmonic minor. We can imply some harmonic minor with some other devices, musically speaking. And one of my favorite devices that we talked about in previous streams, which is what's led to today's stream, is the diminished 7th arpeggio. Now, if you guys that remember, our diminished 7th arpeggio is, we'll stick in the key of B for the time being, right? I'm going to play a diminished 7th arpeggio from this note. This is my flat 7. I'm in the key of B, or raised 7 rather. I'm in the key of B. Let's just get rid of the big gain for now. I'm going to go here. There is my flat 7, my raised 7. Diminished 7th arpeggio might look like this. We might have pinky finger, index finger, 3rd finger on the B string, pinky finger, index finger. This gives us frets 9, 6, then 8, then 9, 6 again. Let's look at these notes in relation to my harmonic minor scale. There's my B. This note is the flat 7. Raised 7. I keep saying flat 7. It's the raised 7. This is the 2. So it's 2, raised 7. This note is the flat 6. This note is the 4. And this note is the 2. So these notes are all pulled from the harmonic minor scale. And if we play this, this repeating diminished seventh pattern that we discussed in our previous stream, for those of you who missed it, diminished seventh arpeggios cycle in minor third intervals. They cycle in 3 fret jumps. It's the same notes because a diminished seventh arpeggio is just made up of 3 fret intervals. That's all it is. It's a stack of 3 fret intervals in a trench coat pretending to be an arpeggio. Anytime we play that, if we play it from something resembling the flat 7, raised 7, heavens, Jennison, the raised 7, or we play it from the 2, or we play it from the 4, or we play it from the flat 6, any of the notes that are in here, think about including this flat 7 in it somewhere, it will produce the sound of harmonic minor. It has to, because these notes in this context spell out harmonic minor. They just do. Let me show you against our backing track, right? I'm going to put it in places that would imply harmonic minor. Here we go. Even places where there are none. Let's go back to the AFD. Did you catch it? Let's do it again when it actually gets to that chord. Here it comes. Now I'm being a bit on the nose with it here, but you can hear how that flies really nicely. It's a nice way to include this sound into our harmonic minor vocabulary, and it's a way of implying harmonic minor the same way that we've been implying these other things. You can just put it in if you get it in the right spot, even if there isn't something going on there. If there's no other minor reference happening there, you can stick it in there. Now, let's move on to some other applications. Because I did say we'd get into some more advanced stuff. And this, I guess, would be sort of more of an intermediate thing. But for you guys who've been wondering, here is one. I'm going to highlight a comment from Kate Strange here. It says, if you play the harmonic minor and start on the 5th of the scale, am I right in thinking that is a Spanish, I guess a Spanish form or a Spanish scale? It's a sticky thing. You could say that. It certainly has the sound of Spanish music to us British folks and American folks who maybe haven't consumed as much traditional Spanish music as maybe we should. But I mean, we've only got so many listening hours in the day, and I've already told you to consume blues and classical music and traditional Arabic music and Japanese music and all sorts, and like, who's got time for all that? Me, apparently. Big nerd. But anyway, so I totally get what you're saying. I just want to be like authentic here. So what Kate is talking about, which is a super valuable scale, is what happens if we flip the harmonic minor on its head. If we take the same structure of notes, the same order of notes, but we just start in a different place, or we play it over a different chord. What I'm going to talk about is making, if we go back to our example of E, making the E chord the 1. So we're playing this A, I'll go back to the clean sound, this A harmonic minor. There's pentatonic. If we just live on this E, we play A harmonic minor. And we just live on the E. This is the Spanish sound everyone talks about. You ever want to convince somebody that you can play Spanish guitar who doesn't know anything about Spanish guitar? Play that. Play an E chord, move it up a semitone, and then play A harmonic minor. And the lay public will be potentially convinced that you can play Spanish guitar. I absolutely cannot. I will throw that out there right now. Absolutely cannot. That's about the limit of my authentic Spanish thing. But what it gives us is a scale that Foghornish has rightly identified as the Phrygian dominant scale. Now, the Phrygian dominant scale is you could call it the fifth mode of the harmonic minor. You can think about it like that. But it's what happens if we play a harmonic minor and just live on the E instead. And an example of this is this Malmsteen style backing track that I've got loaded up here somewhere. Let me just find it for you guys. It's in here in my big project of backing tracks that I'm going to need to prune or organize because I can't find stuff in here anymore. But it does exist. This is the Malmsteen track. I'll play this again later and I'll grab the Malmsteen Strat to do it with. But this is, because it's there, it's looking at me, it's going, why don't you play me? Fun story about this one, by the way. If you guys know about the Malmsteen tech session that I did way back when for Guitar Interactive, it was one of my first projects. And this guitar belongs to Kim, the CEO. And you know, I turned up to do the project, and Kim is here, by the way. He's watching from the sofa, and he says to me, "Oh, you're doing a Malmsteen thing? I've got a Malmsteen amp. Do you want to use that?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." And he goes, "I've got a Malmsteen Strat. Do you want to use that?" I mean, I do, but I picked it up and I'm like, wow, this is very different. This is very different to my guitar. And I've practiced all this stuff and nailed it on my PRS, but now I'm committed. And whoa, that was a tough filming session, let me tell you, but I think it was worth it. Anyway, we'll play that again later. So going back to this, Phrygian dominant, if I play a harmonic minor, but I play it over this Malmsteen style backing track, I'll try not to go the full Yngwie on this. I'm not going to shred it like crazy. I'll try and keep it reasonably civilized so we can see what's going on. Think about this. Minor pentatonic. Modified to become harmonic minor, but the chord is E. I say chord because it's one chord and it's E. Hope you like E because we're getting lots of it. It sounds like this. You've heard the sound, right? The same rules apply when we get to a harmonic minor. And so on and so forth, right? So on and so forth. So this is a fine example of Phrygian dominant and how it works, but it doesn't have to be Malmsteen. It sounds really Malmsteen. In the same way that the Dorian mode is often described as sounding like Santana, but it doesn't have to, right? It depends how you use it. If you do the harmonic minor with the Malmsteen accent, it sounds like Malmsteen. But we haven't sounded like Malmsteen until we put the Malmsteen backing track on, right? Hopefully not. Anyway, hopefully when I was playing Hotel California and demonstrating some stuff, it didn't sound like Malmsteen. Hotel Malmo, who knows? I don't know. Anyway, so it's not really, is he Malmo? I don't know. Anyway, I'm blanking on my guitar history here, but hopefully it didn't. But anyway, the gist of this is the harmonic minor flipped on its head can sound like all sorts of things. And what's really interesting is the Phrygian dominant is just one of them. And this is where we get a little bit more in depth with this stuff. So in addition to the Phrygian dominant, we can, in theory at least, create a workable sounding mode from every scale degree of the harmonic minor. And I'm going to give you a little code for figuring this out. Here's a fun way to think about it, right? Think about the Phrygian dominant, the harmonic minor, and this is going to get a bit off the deep end. This is for our advanced players out there. So but stick with me, because it's an interesting little tidbit, and the same applies for melodic minor, in case you're wondering about the modes of melodic minor. If you think about harmonic minor as Aeolian, the natural minor, the Aeolian with a sharp 7, call it in your mind Aeolian sharp 7. You can then go through the modes in order, i.e. Aeolian, Locrian, Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, mixed Lydian, the order that they appear in every textbook ever, and just move the sharp down by 1 as you progress each one. So we get Aeolian, sharp 7. Locrian, sharp 6. Very interesting sounding scale. Ionian, sharp 5. And our favorite, Dorian, sharp 4. When we get to Phrygian, it becomes Phrygian, sharp 3. And then it starts to get a little bit weird, because then we end up with the slightly unusual sounding Lydian sharp 2, strange, and then the other one can't really exist. To be mixed Lydian sharp 1, that's not really a thing. You can't sharpen the 1, but you get the gist. Incidentally, the same applies with melodic minor. It's a fun way to think about this stuff. It's not the actual names. Please don't call them these names, because other musicians who've learned the names for these things will scoff at you, because they go, well, what do you mean? You mean Aeolian dominant? Surely you mean mixed Lydian flat 6. Had this conversation innumerable times because I worked this stuff out myself with a notepad, right, in my bedroom when I was a bairn, which is child in human language. But yeah, you get the gist, right? So anyway, here's a fun example, and it's Dorian sharp 4. Dorian sharp 4 is a really fascinating sounding scale that has this very cool George Lynchy, 90s grungy kind of sound to it. It's super friggin' cool, right? I'm going to throw on the grunge style backing track that we played over last week, which we used to outline our minor 7 flat 5 arpeggios. For this, I'm going to go to my Dorian scale up here, right? Now, the Dorian scale up here in E minor, let's just get rid of all the extra wet effects and stuff, and we'll go to the clean sound. Minor pentatonic is here. Dorian scale is here. 2, 6, 2, 6, 2, and so on. Now, if we were to take a harmonic minor scale, and in this instance, instead of playing the harmonic minor scale from its 5th, we played it from its 4th, we would get the Dorian sharp 4. But that's not a very useful way to think about it in the heat of battle, because it's a lot of computation. But what we can do is we can go, well, harmonic minor gives us Dorian with a sharp 4 as one of its modes. In this instance, it would be B harmonic minor. But it's not going to sound like B harmonic minor, because we're going to play it over E. I'm thinking E. I know we're playing E, and I ended up playing something else. Not very good at transposing, apparently. It's an interesting one. Discovered this when I was covering Hotel California, funnily enough, this last week. Played the intro with the capo on, and then I had to sing the thing, so I had to whip the capo off, because I can't do the transposition when I'm singing. If I'm just playing, it's fine, but if I'm singing, forget it. Anyway, in this context of E, this B harmonic minor will stop sounding like B harmonic minor and start sounding like something else, which in this case is going to be E Dorian, but with all the 4s sharpened. It's Dorian sharp 4. It's really good fun, and it sounds like this. Let's throw the backing track on and we'll find out. Here we go. Hopefully this will be loud enough. Let's see. I can always turn it up at my end. Right, let's go to the AFD. There's my B. There's my raise 7 from B, which is the sharp 4. and so on. Now, this can easily become something slightly bizarre sounding, but it's cool, right? It's a cool sound. This is another example of implying using harmonic minor to create these other sounds, but we don't have to use it all the time. Now, that is something like with the harmonic minor, we can just drop into our Dorian thing. So if we're playing Dorian and we wanted to drop in a bit of Dorian sharp 4, you could. You could bring it in the same sort of place that you would bring in harmonic minor as an implied scale. It's not going to have that same 5-1 movement. It's not going to necessarily imply a chord, but it will just add a little bit of tension to proceedings. And this is the best bit. The rules for diminished arpeggios still apply, in that a diminished arpeggio can imply all of these scales we just talked about. And the way we find it is by locating the parent harmonic minor and playing from the flat 7. That would work. Or, here's a little tip. Just play it from the sharpened note. Whatever the sharpened note is, if you're playing Phrygian dominant, it's Phrygian sharp 3. So just find the raised 3 and play it from there. If you're playing Dorian sharp 4, just find the raised 4 and play a diminished arpeggio from there. Whatever the raised note is, that's where your diminished arpeggio is. As long as it contains that note, it will be the appropriate diminished arpeggio. So I can take this same backing track in E, which is my Dorian sharp 4 backing track. It doesn't have to be Dorian sharp 4, but it can be. And I can play the harmonic minor, the diminished arpeggio, from the sharp 4. Sharp 4 is here. And it will give me the result I want. Let's put the track on, I'll show you. There's the sharp 4. There it is. If we were to do Phrygian dominant, same thing applies. Let's find the sharp 3. We'll do an E, we'll do the Malmsteen style track. Once again, I will get the strat out, I promise. I promise, we'll tune the strat up, we'll play it. Anyway. Where's my raised 3? Okay. There it is. And we're in Malmsteen territory. So this is, I am absolutely astonished, by the way, as Chris Brown has pointed out, at how well this guitar, despite being a Les Paul, cops the Malmsteen tone. It's absolutely bonkers. I don't know what's going on. Folks, this has been a look at how you actually use your harmonic minor scale. If you have questions, I'm going to answer as many of them as I can, right? Drop your questions in the comments. We've got 10 minutes. We're going to get through as many questions as we possibly can. So let's see who we've got. First of all, some cool comments. Block 18 says, wow, blazing tonight. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. The guitar is doing the real work, but also I have like unbelievable gas for a Marshall AFD, right? Discontinued amplifiers, what are you going to do? It's a really cool sounding amp though, right? I'm sure you'll agree. Anyway, so that's not helping. I'm getting strange. I mean, you guys know, I'm a Victory guy and I love my Victory amps, but I've got massive Marshall gas right now. It's not even funny. Played a few really good ones and yeah, Marshall, you gotta have Marshalls. Gotta have Marshalls in the collection. It's just the way it goes. Anyway, so we got a great question from our friend Eduardo, who says, what happens if the 5-chord section is short? I'm thinking Love is a Battlefield by Pat Benatar. Great song, right? Okay, so the chord progression in this question is... D minor, D being the root, C, A being the 5, which could be 5 dominant, and then B flat. Now this is an interesting one because it doesn't resolve to the 1 chord. I would personally say this is dealer's choice, right? So you could play, again, I'm going to try my best to Stanley Jordan this, because I don't have a backing track for Love is a Battlefield, but if I play in D, for example, okay, so... Yeah, you could, but I think with that one, that's an interesting one because I don't think the chord in this case is actually a dominant chord. Now this is an important thing to pick up because sometimes what you'll find is this chord will be a minor. And if the 5 chord is minor, look at the C note. This C note is not the raised 7. This C note is a flat 7. The raised 7 of D would be C sharp. So if the chord doesn't contain C sharp, which in this case I don't think it does, it's kind of common, you hear it. I always think of that as the Spanish, what's it called? Savage Garden cadence. This is me growing up, right? There's that song, what is it, Moon and Back. That always has that sound to me, but it also has a little bit of Spaceman Came Traveling by Chris de Burgh, which is my favorite Christmas song, even though we're in July. But you get the gist. Music, it just kind of brings things up in the brain, doesn't it? So in that instance, if it's a short 5 dominant, I would hit it. But if it's a 5 minor, I would avoid it. If it's just a power chord, you get to pick. So you get to choose. If nobody else is playing a third, it's up to you, man. You can play it, you don't have to play it. But it's a great question, a very good observation, great question. Here is a very cool one from Mike Seedorf. Thanks, man, really kind of you. Saying, killer lesson as always. Thanks, Senior Nick, thanks, man. At a point when you're playing, it resembles Marty Friedman. Ah, now that is kind of you. Now, I think with Marty, there's an interesting little thing, and I spoke to him about this when I had the pleasure of interviewing him. Marty has a lot of this same harmonic vocabulary in his playing, but at a much more advanced level than most of us, where he's taken this route of exploring all these ideas, and it just manifests as sounds to him. But what Marty also has, which I find is fascinating, is he touches on these intervals that aren't really, they're not on the frets. Let's say now, Jimmy Page famously said of Jeff Beck that Jeff Beck has notes that Jimmy doesn't have. Well, he's got notes I don't have. There's extra notes on his guitar. But it's true. But Marty Friedman also has notes that don't exist on frets, but we can access them. And my favorite one is what me and my pals call the Marty Friedman second, which is somewhere in between the flat 2 and the 2. So if we're playing an E, for example, right? There's my E. There's the flat 2, there's the 2. Marty has this note in it right here. Same thing with this 5, like that 5, there's the flat 5, there's the 5. Marty's on this one. It's kind of halfway between, if that makes sense. Now, we think that sounds weird as Western listeners. We go, what a strange sound. But we're so used to hearing this, which is that blues third. In certain musical cultures, that sounds weird, which is me and the devil. Not so great at that stuff, but you get the gist. That thumb, I can't keep it under control. I never do any of that stuff. I used to do it when I was a kid. It fell from my vocabulary. I need to get it back. But these little in-between intervals, Marty tends to do them. He does them all over the place, but places you'll find them are a little in-between 6, between the flat 6 and the regular 6, in between the sharp 4 and the 5, or the flat 5 and 5, which is a great place to put it in Dorian sharp 4, and also in between the flat 2 and the 2. So if we throw that backing track back on, the grunge style backing track, which is ironic to speak of a player best known for thrash and playing over a grunge track, mortal enemies as they were, even though they're cousins, harmonically, you still get the gist. We can get this. That guy there. Help me hit the note. Put some killer vibrato on and you've got a reasonable, passable interpretation of Marty Friedman, I think. But Dorian Sharp 4 is a great place to do that because it's already tense. Shush you. It's already tense and it can withstand a bit more tension. So that's the top and bottom off. Folks, I've run out of time, but I promised you I'd play the Malmsteen Strat, so I'm going to get the Malmsteen Strat. Bear with me, it's right here. It's been sat over my shoulder. Everyone say goodbye to Michael's Les Paul. It's going to be hanging around in the studio. It's been a blessing to have this today. It's such a freaking great guitar, man. I feel like it's one of these storied instruments. Like, we were lucky enough to play some very storied Les Pauls recently, and I think this is a storied Les Paul. Billy Gibbons has had his hands on it. I think Joe Bonamassa has played this one too. It was Michael Caswell's guitar. It is now the Lick Library House Les Paul. I'm going to be playing it more because it's a good one, but we also have this absolute monster of a guitar kicking around. This is Kim's Malmsteen Strat, and I'm going to play it because why not? Why not? We've had a good time. If I make lots of mistakes, I feel like I owe myself some mistakes. I've played plenty of them already, but we're going to make lots of them on this guitar, that's for sure. I'm just going to get this into standard tuning, and then we're going to go on. If you've enjoyed this lesson, by the way, folks, don't forget, give us a thumbs up, a like on the lesson. Don't forget to subscribe on whatever platform you happen to be watching on, whether it's Lick Library, whether it's Guitar Interactive. You can check out this week's featured course, by the way, if you need a bit of help on this stuff, which is my course, the Fretboard Freedom Master Plan. Link down below. Lick Library members get it included as part of the membership. If you want to check out a membership, maybe today is the day. Maybe this is the lesson that will tip you over the edge, let's say. But if you want some more help with this stuff, we've got it. In the meantime, my name's Nick Jennison. Thank you so much for having me. This guitar is almost in standard tuning. We do this every Monday. Every Monday. Hang out, talk about guitar, play the guitar, learn some stuff. It's been a pleasure. I will see you guys next week. Let's see what goes on with this. Wish me so much luck. I haven't touched this guitar yet, but Malmsteen it is. Here we go. Oh, what a surprise. It sounds like Malmsteen. Here we go. My name's Nick Jennison. See you next week. I think we've got some E string problems. See you guys next week.